to that. I will go to my grave telling you I was pretty confident about that. But when she got here in that COVID year, none of you could be there in person. And that was a good and a bad. The good was you could kind of refine her because she's passionate and she can get too hot. But she is also just amazingly high IQ. And she was seeing things, and when you know her, what it appeared on the outside, that she was frustrated for a different reason, not what everybody thought. So we could really work with that. But then when people were watching the games on TV and you'd see those long bombs, people would be like, wow, that's pretty impressive. But when you got to see him live her sophomore year, that's when the world changed. Because then people were like, whoa, I mean, it takes like, what, 5 seconds before it lands? And it's a splash, right? So that's when her sophomore year, you could begin to really see the possibilities. There's only 2 people in the world doing what she did, her and Steph Curry, in the story. So it was just a matter of time before all of these people started to really grasp it, and then it was our jobs to manage it, but to get everybody around her good enough to take it to a level. And thankfully, I think we did that.
Well, there are more Michael Jordan analogies being made in the media than
Right.
Do you feel like she could be for the WNBA? Like there's analogies of the WNBA is having its 1984 NBA kind of draft.
Right.
What do you think about it? Is that hyperbole or?
I don't think it's hyperbole for where we are and where the WNBA has been. I mean, arguably, I mean, we pulled this room. I mean, I don't think anybody could have told you 2 years ago 3 players in the WNBA. 3 names, and who they played for. I'd say there'd be a pretty high percentage in the room that wouldn't have been able to do it. Now, everybody in this room could do that. 3, easy. So the hyperbole, I think we're there because what's been talked about and what has been done with the draft people, the attendance, I think it's a pretty fair statement to make. But we'll see where it goes. But my money has always been on the Clark kid, is going to say.
Jen, can you describe when you definitively found out you were going to be the next head coach at Iowa? I assume it was Beth that told you, but just can you describe what that was like as you kind of took that in?
Yeah. It was about 10 o'clock at night I got the call. It was just kind of a surreal, right? Because it didn't have to work out that way. I'm glad a lot of the fan base is as excited as I was and am. But it was just a moment, I think I just sat in silence for a while and just thought about the journey. Thank you. A lot goes into that moment. Because am I like Kirk Ferentz here? Those of the golf. It was just choked up. I haven't played, but I think that I love the state of Iowa so much. I grew up in the state, played at Drake, love basketball. My grandma is a Hall of Famer. She's passed away now. But then I coached with my best friends for 32 years. Lisa Bluter coached me. So if you do coaching right, you'd like to think that you get to impact a lot of people. And Lisa impacted me greatly. So then we get to this stage in our life, and to see her go out on top. And I will always argue that I think Lisa did even more for the game not quite winning than if she would have won the national titles. Do we wish we would have won them? Oh my gosh, yes. But the way in which that journey was, and then I think how she led us in loss, and how the whole couple of years unfolded with games at the football stadium, and having all those discussions as one of her right-hand people, is having the opportunity for her to confidently say, I'm going to go watch my son play at Grinnell, and handing the keys to her office to someone that she really entrusted to keep going. that was a really major moment because there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears built over a quarter of a century. And so then, taking it personally, that I got to be part of all of that, and then thinking about my history in the state, and then thinking about, you know, my parents and my brother, they were my biggest fans, and they're not alive anymore. And I remember thinking, like, oh, man. My brother owns a bar in East Renton now, Kimballton, Iowa. It's called Luggers. Check her out if you're ever in that area. I mean, he would have been like buying drinks for the house, right? All day, every day for at least a month. So I think when you get life events like that, just a gratitude for that. And so that was a moment, and a lot happened. It was a little silent for about 5 minutes with that. So that's a longer answer, but that's the truthful one.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you.
There's I guess beyond Lucy and Sid and Hannah, how is the depth behind them kind of starting to take shape?
Yeah, I really like the depth. We're just young, and that's the weird thing about the portal, because if you look at a lot of the schools in the league, there were some really good people, and they got even really better because they were able to get some great portal gets. So the thing that's different is when you're developing a freshman. A few short months ago, they were playing in front of about 400, 500 people, and most of their games they won by 40. So now they're going to get here, and then they're going to play in front of thousands, and they're playing against great people. So that's the only thing. How quickly can we get them up to that mentality? Because a portal kid is coming in as usually a sophomore, junior, or senior. So I feel their swag is pretty good. I like how they're competing, and I like how they're like stepping into the moment. They're just sometimes freshmen. But boy, I wouldn't trade them. I love them. They're all pretty doggone good.
You talked about Sid's kind of growth